Hey, it's Yara, and welcome back to my channel. If I can speak today, channel. Okay. Just fix my iPad. Okay. So, I know I've been saying I was gonna do top 10 Descendants. Redo my top 10 Descendants songs for maybe not a long while, but for a little while. So now I'm finally going to do it. It's mostly the same, I think. It's just there's a couple I rearranged from my original list. Okay, so let's get started. Number 10, Good to Be Bad. This is a really good song. It's the first song from the third movie, and the 4VKs went to the aisle to get in everyone's application and tell them who's going to go to the aisle so that they can get ready for when they pick them up, which they do shortly after. And I really love some of what they're saying. They're pretty much singing in the song how much they've grown from the first movie. I mean, like, what did they say? They say, used to steal stacks, like they used to steal a lot. Now we're giving back, which means they're helping people. Now, used to be lost because they didn't really know who they were. Now we're on the maps, which means they found themselves. And I just think that this song, just think this is the perfect song to introduce the third movie, because now they know who they are and they're not confused and they're not pretending to be someone else. And it's showing you how much they've really grown since from the first time you saw them to now. And I think that's the perfect song for this movie. Okay. Number 9, Space Between. This is a beautiful duet by Mel and Evie in the second movie. Even though it's Mel and Evie that's singing it, it kind of applies to Mel with all three of her friends, in my opinion. Because even though I love Mel and Evie's friendship, I think it is a tiny bit overrated. They're not even my favorite friendship. My favorite friendship in the movie is the four of them together. But I think individually my favorite friendship is Mel and Jay. And I just think I really wish it kind of got into it more. And I wish it got more into Jay and Carlos's friendship as well. And maybe Evie's friendship with the boys as well, you know? And in the first movie it showed Jay and Carlos's friendship a lot. I just think, and in the second movie a little bit, I just think it should have kept showing their friendship, you know? And it just showed. But anyways, I do love Mel and Evie's friendship, don't get me wrong. And I love the song. They're pretty much saying that no matter where they are, no matter how far they are, they're still gonna be like family, you know. And I guess I can kind of relate to that, because a lot of my best and closest friends I'm nowhere near, not even in the same state as. And we still talk all the time, text, sometimes call or video chat, mostly text. But it just and just because we're far apart doesn't mean we stop caring about each other, or stop being there for each other if we need each other, you know. And even though it'll probably only be once a year, hopefully we can still see each other at times, you know. I did see them recently because I went, or a couple of them, not all of them. But yeah, so I just think it's beautiful what they're saying and how much they care about each other. And I think it kind of goes with Mel and all of her friends, because she's close to all of them. Like I said, out of my individual friendships, Mel and Jay are my favorite. We read the Isle of the Lost books, which if you haven't, you really should. I may have mentioned that in another video about Descendants, but if you haven't read the books, you really should. Maybe one of these days I'll make a video just about the books. I've been wanting to reread those books. It's the first one I remember the most, but I want to reread all of them. There's 4 of them. In the first book, it's placed before the first movie. The second and third book is placed between the first and second movie, and then the last book is placed between the second and third movie. But the first book, Mel and Jay, they wouldn't say they were friends, but they were. But that's how you were in the aisle. You know, even in the first movie, the 4 of them wouldn't admit they were friends because technically you're not supposed to have friends, but they were friends. Mel and Jay wouldn't admit it, but they were friends. And neither of them liked Evie or Carlos, and they even played a practical joke on Evie and kind of put Carlos in an uncomfortable situation towards the beginning-ish of the book, because the 2 of them are like these strong people who, you know, are kind of admired between some of the other kids. The other kids fear the 2 of them because they are some of the most dangerous people on the aisle, not including the adults, obviously. But Evie and Carlos were never like that. I mean, they're evil too, and they've done some stuff that they probably regret now because they were supposed to be evil. And they know how hard it is, just like Mel and Jay, but it didn't come as easy to them as it did Mel and Jay because they were kinder and softer. But the 2 of them were always a little different than Mel and Jay. Mel and Jay were always more hardcore. Evie and Carlos, not so much. But yeah. So Mel and Evie weren't always close. Jay and Carlos, this and that, you know. But Mel and Jay always were, kind of. So yeah, just throwing that in there. Okay, number 8, You and Me. This was a great conclusion to the second movie. I love when the 4 VKs are singing. Like, Evie and Carlos come and start singing, and then Mel and Jay come and start singing as they all 4 of them just look out into the Isle of the Lost. I just think it's really sweet. I also like when the 4 main couples of that movie starts dancing in the water. It showed Carlos and Jane, it showed them first, and then Jay and Lonnie, and then Evie and Doug, and then Mel and Ben. But I just think it's a beautiful song, and I do love the dancing in there, and I love what they're saying all that too, like you and me. Even in the title, you can kind of get a glimpse of what the song is about, you know, about all the hard times there. As long as you have you and me, we're gonna be fine. It's a really nice song. Let's see, number 7, It's Going Down. This is an awesome song from the second movie. I love how it's kind of like, I guess they're kind of rapping. I don't really know if I call that rapping, but I don't really know what to call it. But Mel and Uma are kind of going it out. And one of my favorite parts of that song is when Harry is singing and getting close to Mel, and then Jay walks up. It's another sign of their friendship, how he's protective of her even if she doesn't need it. He walks up, and even though I do absolutely love that, and I think it's such an underrated scene, but even though I do love it because it's kind of like him walking up to her all protective of a big brother kind of sort of thing, I do think since Harry just sang, Jay should have sang a little at that moment too, you know, because it's focused so much in the second and some of the third movie of Mel and Uma's hatred towards each other. But in the second movie, it kind of showed you that Jay and Harry had just as much anger towards each other as Mel and Uma did, but it didn't really get into it or show it. I think it should have. I think it should have showed the two of them their hatred to each other. Like, it kind of, in one of the books, it tells you exactly what happened between Mel and Uma, why they hate each other so much, and why Mel started calling her Shrimpy and this and that. What Uma did so much to get on Mel's bad side. I just think it should have gone a little bit more insight on Jay and Harry, why they hate each other, and maybe showed their hatred towards each other a little bit more, you know, until they became somewhat friends in the third movie. But that's just my opinion. But otherwise, this is a great song, and I love how they're fighting, and it's just really good. Number 6, Night Falls. This is an amazing song. When I watched the second movie and I saw Do What You Got, okay, wrong song, and so It's Going Down, I was like, I don't think they could do any better for like a fight, singing, dancing kind of thing. And then their movie came, and the movie, the directors proved me wrong, because Night Falls happened, and it was just so good. I mean, they're fighting these armor, and that must have been hard, you know, to do that. With people in the suits pretend, you know, I mean, in the movie no one's in the suits, but obviously there are people in the suits dancing when they're making it, and it's just, that must have been so hard to dance with those on. But you know, I just love how they're the two groups of, you know, Mel's team and Uma's team are just are fighting with each other while trying to work together, because they don't get along. I just think it's hilarious how they're doing that. While Evie is the, you know, trying to, you know, play mediator, which isn't surprising, but it's a little surprising that Carlos isn't, because Carlos and Evie were always a little similar in my opinion. You know, they both had those soft hearts and not as hardcore, like I was talking about earlier. And I just thought I was a little surprised Carlos or Gil, he kind of sets in that way instead of Uma and Hook being a little hardcore like Mel and Jay. But anyways, okay, moving on. I love that song, and it's such a good song. Okay, 5, Do What You Gotta Do. Yeah, that was good. Mel's the song with Mel's mom was, there's not a song on the Descendants franchise that I do not like, but there are a lot of songs I like more than others, obviously. And Mel's song with her mom is not nearly as good as Mel's song with her dad. I just thought it was so good, and I think it's kind of messed up how he said he was never there because it would have made her soft, and I just thought that was messed up. But I love what Mel said. She was like, what did she say? She was like, what did she say? What was her wording? She was like, I did what I had to do, no thanks to you, or something like that. And yeah, she was like, I did what I had to do, I made it on my own, no thanks to you. Yeah, that was the wording. And I just absolutely loved that part, because it's true, you know. And even though her mom was there, she helped her get to who she was in the first movie, she alone made who she became. Well, maybe not alone. She had her friends and she had Ben, but you know what I mean. Yeah. So number 4, If Only. This list was hard because there's just so many good songs, and the song I did want to put closer, but there were a couple songs that beat it by just a smidge, and I just think this is a beautiful ballad by Mel in the first movie, and it shows how she's starting to feel conflicted because she doesn't know which way to go now. I mean, should she continue what she's doing and help her mother and destroy pretty much the world, or should she, which is what her head is telling her to do, or should she follow her heart, which is starting to lead towards Ben and happiness and goodness? And it's the classic tale of head versus heart. Do you do what your head tells you or your heart? You know? And you should always follow your heart. I mean, which Mel learns, which they all learn. But I just think, because they were all feeling conflicted at that point. You know, Jay was loving Turney, Carlos was loving Dude, Evie was loving School and Doug, and you know, so even though the song is about Mel and her confusion between following her mom and being evil and following her heart to be with Ben and happy, all four of them were going through that, you know? I mean, Mel was conflicted with being evil and Ben. Jay was conflicted with stealing and, well, they were all conflicted with being evil, but they were all conflicted with something good. I mean, they all wanted that goodness and happiness, and it was one thing more than others, you know? And it's just, they all were so confused, and even though it was about Ben and being evil, it kind of applied to the four of them, and I just love it. I love how it shows the flashbacks. There's a song, I didn't mention that when I was talking about Space Between, but there's flashbacks between Mel and Evie, which I thought was really sweet, because each movie has a song with flashbacks, and Mel's a big part of all of them, which I'll get to in the next one. Number 3, my Once Upon a Time. This is a beautiful song, and I didn't think I would I didn't think they could do better than when they did If Only, kind of like when I didn't think they could do better than It's Going Down, The Night Falls. But this song was just beautiful, and it showed that even though she's a hero now and knows what love is, that she still is conflicted. And she can still make mistakes, and she did make a big mistake. And I love when she says, what does she say? She was like, this is not your mother's it's not your mother's fault you fail, it's not your father's fairy tale, or it might have been vice versa. But anyways, some point in the song it sings that towards the beginning. But I love how she said that, because a lot of people, especially when her parents are at fault for a lot she did early on, she knows she can't blame them for what's going on now. And I just love how she was realizing that this is her story and she needs to write it the way she wants to. And so yeah, it's a beautiful song, and I love the flashbacks. And it's not just like on the flashbacks with Space Between, it was her friendship with Evie. On If Only, half of it was her being evil, the other half was Ben. And this one, it was just her, you know, her journey from the first movie to now, everything she's been through, everything she's witnessed and grown through, you know. And I thought that was beautiful. Number 2, Run to the Core. I absolutely love this song, and I think this was the perfect introduction to our 4 main characters. I mean, you see Ben first. You don't even see them first because they wanted to show you the proclamation before you got an insight on the other main characters, the main characters. And then all of a sudden you heard music as it's focused on the Isle of Lost, and then you see the 4 of them. And then they just start singing, and you get an insight on them as by what they're singing. You know, Mel's first, and then Jay, and then Evie, and then Carlos. And as they're singing and being all evil as they think they're supposed to be, you kind of get insight on each character when they're having their solos in the song, because each 4 of them have at least 2 solos, I think, in the song. And I just think it was the perfect introduction to an amazing franchise. Okay, number 1 is Break This Down. Obviously, this had to be number 1. It was the perfect conclusion to an amazing franchise, and I just think this was absolutely breathtaking. You know, I love how they brought down the barrier. Not just let all the villain kids out, but released all the parents too. And I absolutely love the song. I mean, I love how it ended with the 4 of them running to the aisle. But anyways, the song was beautiful, and they were saying how they need to break this down and start new, because it's a new generation and it's time for forgiveness and to get a second chance. You know, I mean, these villain kids were finally got a chance, and now it's time to give the adults a second chance at a new life, a better life. I just think that's amazing, and I just think the song itself, what it's saying, and the dancing, and it's just a perfect conclusion to an amazing franchise. And even though I love this series, I really hope they don't make another one for a few reasons, which I might get into another video, but I want to get into it in another video. I already strayed a couple times, but this is about Break This Down. I just love it. I kind of love how some of the heroes and some of the villains kind of just met up on the bridge, and I just think it's beautiful. And then they all come back. And I love how all the heroes go back into Ordon, and the villains just stay on the bridge for a moment, unsure if they're really welcome. Then they all bowed, and then they all ran. They danced some more and finished the song. It was just beautiful. And then the very end, when the 4 of them are talking, holding hands, and then decide to see who will get to the other end of the bridge fastest. And I just think it's amazing, and I don't think they could have done it any better than they did. So yeah, that's all for this video. I did come up with I have so many ideas for videos, so many top 10, so many rants, and there's a couple videos I want to do with my mom soon, hopefully. She's busy right now, maybe next week or the week after, but I have so many ideas for top 10s, my countdowns, my this or that's, and I just had new ideas about because I have my own theories about how some things happened or should have happened, or and I decided to maybe make some theorizing videos about my theories, like get more of an insight on some of that. So if you're unsure about anything and see a video that you had questions about, maybe I could kind of give you an insight on how I think it happened or should have happened or whatever. So yeah, so that's it for this video. See ya next time.